so much more that went into it. I do think the Dark Shrine opening was a little bit more of yes, that's not necessarily a build order win, but it's a series of unfortunate circumstances for Polt. That's how HuK really got a big lead there and won the game. I do like the Warp Prism follow-up, by the way. That's not necessarily straight up, and that was one of the ways that he did absolutely hold down that win.
Yeah.
But in game number 3, the small little thing, something in HuK's brain said, nope, you're going to do a frontal bust. And it wasn't the information he had game before that. It was just some kind of sense or something he was reading in the way it was playing out. And it ended up being exactly correct. If that Oracle pulls up into the main, it gets deflected by 6 Marines for 0 damage. Polt maybe reinforces with you know, I don't know, a faster missile turret so he can pull those 6 Marines to the front lines. There's all kinds of different ripple effect that would occur. But for whatever reason, HuK made the exact right read, and it was exactly what it took to crack one of the absolute best Terran players on the entire planet. And all of a sudden, HuK, who nobody gave a chance against Polt, is 1 game away of the next potential 3 to
advancing on
to win Polt.
And this guy in the top right is on the verge of elimination. Ladies and gentlemen, he needs your support. Representing Team CM Storm, he must win 2 in a row here to advance to the next round and stay alive in Lone Star Clash 3. He is Polt.
And our miracle boy from Team Evil Geniuses, it's HuK.
So, best of 5 mentality right now. You're Polt. Game 1, you get to the mid game, everything's great. Everything's peachy, everything's fantastic. Game 2, okay, you know, you misgot a little bit, maybe a little bit of a misscan. You did not expect, you know, you didn't forecast what was coming. You paid for it before the mid game. Game 3, kind of a similar kind of thing. Again, this trend we're seeing. What's kind of going through Polt's mind right now as far as how does he deal with this play style that he's seeing from HuK?
Well, that's a great question, Axel Toss, because we saw the evolution of Polt. Game number 2, or 3, excuse me. We saw him add a bunker. We saw him add 2 missile turrets, and this is all without any information. That's really important to note. If you scout a tech and react to it that way, you don't get to read too far into that. But in a best of 5 series, when you know, we see Polt just organically defending harder, that's important. Now, what's important to also glean from this, by the way, is that despite those bolstered defenses, Polt was still cracked in the early game. So here we are in game 4. What does Polt make, like 15 bunkers? What is, I mean, you have to, I mean, obviously I'm joking, but you have to factor in the mindset. He's got to be saying to himself, well, I will go faster missile turrets. Maybe I'll make 2 bunkers. And all of that could allow for HuK, again, with the game to give, to add a faster 3rd Nexus, to make a, you know, an earlier Robo. All these things HuK has the freedom to do, whereas Polt has no freedom.
Yeah, you know, that's a great point. I think Polt knows he's a good player. He has confidence in himself, and that's super important. And I think in this game, Habitation Station, I think, will lend well to his style. And I feel like he's going to try to be as super on top of scouting as humanly possible, because that, you know, that's one of the main things. If he scouts a little bit better in game 2 and 3, you know, he's in a much better position. StarCraft 2 is all about information, so I would expect Polt to really try his hardest to be on top of scouting exactly what HuK is doing in the early game, so he can perfectly prepare for it and get to his powerful mid game.
Yeah, I think that if we were to make an assessment of what Polt's mindset should be in his goal, you're absolutely correct, absolutely, because his mid-game is just his wheelhouse. Now, we do have that motion core pulling in here, and as you'll notice, as always, it's the exact same opening from Polt. HuK trying to grab for himself perhaps an SCV kill. He doesn't get it. He dings and dongs a few and delays his barracks, I guess. And meanwhile, he's threatening pressure at the front line, so that's what Polt's kind of aware of. He's like, hang on. This can get bad pretty quick, but HuK's got to be careful. He doesn't want to lose this motion core. In fact, he very well could. Oh, he does. Wow. That's all of a sudden really bad, by the way. So yes, a Stalker and a Zealot do get in. They kill a single SCV, but so far, once again, the trade is horrific if you're a HuK fan.
And you know, that's such a big deal. I know some people might be like, oh, it's just a mothership core or whatever. But again, HuK, especially his builds, they're so acutely timed to literally the second. Like, so that might delay whatever he had in mind by 20 to 30 seconds because he's spending 100 minerals, 100 gas on his mothership core again. He's having to wait for additional energy. So that's an absolutely huge deal, and especially in the mindsets of both these two players. HuK goes in with the mothership core. He's like, all right, I did this in game number 2. I got some damage done. He loses the mothership core. Not a very great attack. Oh, and I think he missed the probe, maybe.
He did, and it's a 4-gate from HuK, by the way.
Yes.
While you were saying that. Yes, losing the mothership core is a big deal. But getting intel on the fact that you're about to get very quickly 4-gated is perhaps more important, and even almost more important, that is killing the probe that makes the entire build possible.
Yep.
The Reaper does get deflected. It doesn't see anything super out of the ordinary. Nothing that would certainly say you're about to get 4-gated, but HuK is going to put it all on the line. And I'll tell you what, at face value, I really don't like this. 4-gate's very powerful, but you're playing against a guy who's shown 3 barracks, you know, since 2011. Like,
yeah.
He will have the manpower, and he's got stim coming in as well. I mean, if this 4-gate can hit before that and catch him completely off guard, which is going to be tough because now the Reaper sees that moving across the map, then yeah, it can work, but I don't know.
And that's an automatic alarm right there. You see 4 sentries, that's 400 gas that could have gone into teching.
HuK's bailing out of it.
Stuff. Yeah, I think that's a wise decision. And you know, someone might say, oh, HuK planned this all along. Let's just fake a 4-gate and then tech really fast and get Polt to overreact. Who knows? Maybe. You know.
I don't think so. I think it was because everything. The second probe got killed in the middle of the map. The 4 sentries get found in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
3 bunkers are going to be impossible to crack at this stage, but he pulls back, so it's just nice.
Showing that flexibility though. You know, he can turn an awkward situation into hopefully a favorable situation by hoping Polt overreacts, pulling back, taking up really fast. But as it stands, that 4-gate was a lot of lack of investment in tech, lack of investment into proceeding along, you know, again, the tech paths you want. And Polt, he knew this was coming. He knows HuK is, at this point, he knows HuK is kind of backing off. But what's kind of Polt thinking right now as far as, does he think he has a timing attack or timing opportunities to take advantage of the fact that HuK did invest so much and do an early attack that didn't end up being followed through with?
You know, Polt's mentality is kind of hard to guess right now, but as you can see in his play, it's a missile turret goes down. The bunkers have yet to be salvaged. Now they're going to get salvaged or at least emptied. He's on his back foot. There's no question about it. HuK has a reputation. I'm not making this up or kicking a dead horse. He's known to be kind of crazy and aggressive, and at any time he can do that crazy aggressive thing. So a lot of times when that player gets ahead of you, you become paranoid, and we're seeing a little bit of that. I don't want to read too far into a missile turret being made at the natural, but stuff like that is being shown. Now, Polt's going to be out on the map, and we're at the 10-minute mark, and we're pushing beyond. This is where Polt is his absolute most dangerous. And this is a great test for HuK. So far, we've only seen game number 1 where HuK was cracked by that aggression. It was not until he held it off really well, but eventually he was cracked. Can he now stand toe-to-toe with Polt's aggression and win, or does he need to get it done in the early game? That will be answered here.
Polt advances his opponent's natural expansion, trying to bait some force fields out. HuK needs to be really careful about spotting exactly where Polt is. Having that vision is going to be so important here because you want to know when Polt potentially might pick up and swing into the main. Again, this is a map that receives well to that kind of play style. The airspace is very close for these 2 players. Easily a medevac, and there's a lot of space in the main as well to potentially sneak a medevac and drop some stuff. And HuK, that's on his mind, definitely. He's got these stalkers in position, getting blink right away, not even messing around with that. So he's going to try to be as on top of that as he can.
Now, at a glance here, HuK is going to be enjoying a pretty strong upgrade advantage. That Forge did not go down super fast. This is not a Forge build, but yet HuK was able to emphasize it really well. And on the flip side, Polt kind of de-emphasized upgrades. The engineering bay was quite late, and it's just the 1 engineering bay. So right now, HuK has an armor upgrade. He's got attack about halfway done as well. So there's going to be a solid 1 upgrade advantage for HuK for most of this game. That's not the biggest of deals, but it's something worth noting. And it's, again, kind of one of those ripples that is being echoed throughout the series that Polt has to deal with. He's not feeling comfortable to make the adjustment to try to be ahead in upgrades because he wants to get so many units out there because, again, that's the Polt wheelhouse.
Yep.
Medevac, Marine, Marauder, aggression. That's what he's going to do.
Polt coming to the left-hand side of the map here with his army, looking to deny this 3rd base. Again, he wants to keep the pressure on HuK. He wants to strain HuK's multitasking abilities. He wants to be in multiple locations at once, and it looks like the drops might be getting started fairly soon here. Meanwhile, Polt also getting a third up on his own. So both these players going to be establishing 3 bases. Something else to look out for in this stage of a PvT is the Storm versus Colossi Tech and how the Terran reacts. When do the Ghosts get out? As you said, historically, Polt might not get Ghosts that fast. How many Vikings are being made to receive with Colossi? How on key is the Terran player with what direction the Protoss player is going? You're going to have drastically different responses to seeing a lot of Colossus versus seeing a lot of High Templar. So that's going to be something to look out for as this game proceeds forward.
Well, one thing HuK's benefiting from is this kind of cheater observer outside of his natural. It sees everything, and Polt's going to swing in here trying to cancel that third. He's going to get a good underside belly exposed here and doing so much damage. It instantly does get canceled, so that's a huge win for Polt. Meanwhile, we have a couple of zealots here at the third, getting a couple of kills, slowing it down, but importantly spotting what kind of economy HuK is existing in, if you will. But Polt with a really great move, and he did that again off the back of his ability to multitask between 2 armies. If either one of those gets caught by force fields and dies, that's a much more clean trade that HuK can feel good about. But as it stands, he knows he's in a lot of trouble. He needs to get his third back up and going, and he needs to deflect those kind of attacks in the future. Everyone that happens after this is another nail in his coffin. Yeah, and that 5th and 6th gas is like, I don't know if I can emphasize enough how important those 2 gases are, especially when you're wanting to be flexible. At this stage of the game, you're building High Templar, you're building Colossi, you're trying to continue with upgrades. And if you're starving in the gas department, it's not a situation you want to be in. That's why you really need those 5th and 6th gas, so you can have that flexibility, and so you can kind of try to dictate the momentum in the game and force the Terran player to respond to the different changes that you're making. So we're going to see Polt probably try to be, continue to be very aggressive towards that third base, as well as in the main. But we're also going to see HuK, kind of expecting that a little bit, trying to make sure he's in a perfect situation to deal with that. Putting 3 cannons, 3 cannons in the main base there for HuK. Yeah, here comes the full Polt. We got Vikings being added to the mix as well. There is no drop guillotine kind of hanging over the head of Polt. This is an actual attack. Now, there's 4 Colossus. HuK's going to pull back because he wants to buy himself time, much of course out of position.
Storm is not done yet. It's just
Storm
about to
seconds
finish.
away, that's correct. But the Vikings getting such a good attack here. The Stalkers are out of position.
It's Storm to finish. He's waiting. He's got his High Templar selected. There it is. It is done. Now he's going to turn around and throw down the Storm. Is that going to be enough to get Polt out of here? No, I don't think so. No. Way too many units here for Polt. Charging into his opponent's third base, taking down all these units, and it looks like he's not going to be able to take down the Nexus just yet, but certainly getting a lot of momentum here.
Good Storm on the high ground there, thinning out the Vikings, and Polt's overstemmed a little bit, but it's just not enough. The Zealots melted away to the kiting. The third is cracked. The Vikings even doing some damage, I guess, up there. Colossus is in production, but this timing from Polt, well, it's weird to call it a timing. Certainly it wasn't a timing. The timing of this attack,
I think it was a reaction of the third dying. Kill the third, and then Polt kind of say, all right, that third just died. I'm going to have a bit of a timing window here where I'm going to have a lot of army. My opponent might not be able to have as much investment into the stuff that he wants. So Polt getting in there, taking out that third base, demolishing his opponent's army, and HuK maybe a little bit unlucky that the Storm was a little bit too late, but Polt just brute forcing that front door there, taking down that third, and now he has a very commanding lead in this game, up 163 to 88 in that supply count.
Yep, he's going to push that lead, shoving in here right now. There's a few Storms available in a single Colossus with no Vikings, but again, it's a numbers game. The third gets canceled once again. These Storms are inconsequential at best, and it represents HuK's last chance. He's going to warp in because he's a fighter, but ladies and gents, we will be going to a game number 5 in just a moment. There it is. HuK taps out. Polt says, let's do it, as game number 5 is coming up.
Oh man, what a good way to start the day here. We got